the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog, the Week 8 recap, the Week 9 lines, and everything else in between, plus a special edition of Cust Eats. Today on the show, Tim is in studio, and coming off the IR at the same time as Tua, Garion Thorne returns to the program. Do you know that you've taken off the same amount of time as Tua?
I do know that. Great to be back. I guess this is the show that people want. Just two sad boys talking about their sad teams. So it was great timing, really, all things considered.
Well, the Bears had moved your mighty Bears, who you were saying were playing a terrific game,
Defensively.
just fumbled the ball on the 1 yard line.
That's great.
That's not great news.
Not great news.
Not great news. This game has been wildly disappointing.
Yeah, it wasn't the high-flying offensive performance we expected, given the problems that the Commanders have on defense, and the Bears have barely moved it, and Washington's been stuck kicking field goals over and over. It's been a bit of a disappointment.
And the turnover does stand. So there's still 6 minutes left in that game somehow. Well, let's get the ball moving a little bit here. And the Raiders have come back to at least be covering the spread for the moment.
That's right.
Against the Chiefs. But let's start off with what everyone wants to talk about. The Miami Dolphins, Gary. And we'll start with you and Tua. Was there a bigger moment of the day for you than that Tua run where he slid?
That was probably the most out-of-body experience I had all day. I would have bet everything that Mike McDaniel had told him to not run under any circumstances. The fact that he slid was great. That was maybe the loudest I've heard a Dolphins crowd in, I don't know, since I've been alive. Not usually a rowdy crowd at whatever they're calling that stadium now, Hard Rock Stadium. Yeah, look, he looked fine, I guess. He wasn't the problem today, but yeah, I would prefer him not scramble ever again. That would be my wish.
Do you think that's something that he can do? Because he probably shouldn't have been running the ball in the first place.
I mean, he probably shouldn't be playing in the first place. I don't know. We could go down the list of things he probably shouldn't be doing. It's just sort of a never-ending thing. But no, he slid. Good for him. That's probably one of the few times I've ever seen him slide. So I guess that's a progression.
Was there any chance that you checked out one of the other AFC East rivalry games of the day?
Yeah, I was watching both games. I was definitely watching both.
There's this new quarterback. He's pretty old, but I think he's got a lot of gumption. Jacoby Brissett leads his team down the field for a game-winning touchdown against a defense which I was told had all of the best players in the league. Your thoughts?
I don't know what I can really say. I mean, they put the team in a position where all the defense had to do was not allow Jacoby Brissett to go 70 yards for a touchdown, and they did. All the power to the Patriots. They were the better team in the game. They played better. The season, if it wasn't 100% over, it's totally over now. You've got the coach and the quarterback both snipping at each other about whether the team is in darkness and what darkness looks like. Not good.
Can you tell them what darkness looks like?
This
it is your old friend.
This is what darkness looks like. Yeah, it's really sad that someone tweeted at me, and they're right to say that even the Patriots at their worst still can't get swept by the Jets. It's tough. It's really tough. I mean, there's a reason I haven't been watching the games recently, because there's no benefit to me. And of course, because we had all the games on, I got to see the game today, and I don't feel like I've been missing anything. Poor performance. I mean, Hall and Wilson continue to play good football. Rodgers didn't have any crippling interceptions today. Just their kicker can't hit the broadside of a barn, and the defense can't tackle in important spots. And these two glaring errors, which have been a problem for weeks, all sort of rose to a crescendo in this game, and they lost. And it's bleak because it's not like you're going to rebuild, because Rodgers is owed a lot of money. He's coming back next year. He's going to play. And so I don't know what we're rebuilding towards. I mean, we're going to maybe have a high pick and do what with that pick? Draft an offensive lineman who doesn't play? Because that's all we do when we draft offensive linemen. It is dark, but I'm used to losing. I'm used to seeing this team lose. And I had already sort of pulled the emotional sort of ripcord on this team 3 weeks ago after the Buffalo game, so it doesn't sting as much as it might for others. But things are over. We've got 9 games left or whatever to watch the team struggle, and it's what it is. I don't really know what else to say. I'm sad. I'm disappointed, but I can't say I'm surprised. Buffalo clinched the division by Halloween, not the Jets. I wouldn't have expected that to happen. But it did, and so we just have to have a brave face and have a stiff upper lip, and that's really all the peroration I've got here.
Garion, on a Cust sadness level, where would you rank him right now?
It's sort of disconcerting, I would say. I don't know. This just feels like a weird. It's too sad. Like it's I don't know. Usually his sadness sort of makes me laugh. This actually made me more sad. So that's tough. I don't know. Like, he says it's over. It never really is. I'm sure they can win next week, and suddenly, we're counting victories again. But I mean, it's a pretty steep uphill battle at this point. Like he said, Buffalo's got just a massive lead in the division. But there's only really 6 or 7 maybe good teams in the AFC. So I feel like Tim could maybe convince himself that the Jets are going to nab that 7 seed at some point. Like, I'm not losing hope yet.
What does it do for them? They get the 7 seed. The whole purpose of the season was to win the Super Bowl. That is certainly never going to happen this year.
What if they had a good kicker? They'd have 3 more wins.
You know what?
Is there any chance Legatron gets cut, or is he best friends with Aaron Rodgers?
He should get cut. But, in a weird way, maybe it's a good thing that he's been missing these kicks and the team has been losing, because I would certainly be blinding myself to all the glaring errors this team has. And when they lost in a much bigger and brighter moment, I think I would feel that much more despondent. I'm not angry. I'm just really, I don't know. I'm apathetic. I'm sad. I'm not apathetic. I guess that's the wrong word. I'm just sad and disappointed and annoyed that I just have to watch them mark time for the rest of the season.
Garion, they have become. I would not have guessed this at the beginning of the year. I didn't think that they were going to be great. Obviously, I bet the under on the Jets, but that's more for lulz. But they've become the meme team of the year. Just the moment the Jets lose, people just have memes fired up, and it's not just Antonio Brown.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a weird season for the Jets. I mean, it's funny. I find that the more and more I meet Jets fans in the wild, they still tend to have this crazy amount of optimism. Like, every Jets fan I've ever met just automatically assumes every season they're going to win the Super Bowl. And it's always been such a weird kind of thing for me, because I feel like I'm a very pessimistic sports fan by nature. And I don't feel like the last 30 years of being a Dolphin fan is all that dissimilar from being a Jets fan. I think, if anything, the Jets have had higher highs. So I feel like we're kind of kindred spirits in that way. So again, I feel like that unbridled optimism, the New York factor, it just makes them such an easy punching bag. It really does. I don't know, like, not every team has a fireman Ed, like it's just really easy to kind of dump on Jets fans. And it's ripe. Like, it's not hard to find reasons. I guess at some point they're going to have a good season to bring everyone back and kind of keep that optimism going. I don't know how much longer you can take this. But yeah, they look bad.
As someone noted this week, the Irish played Navy yesterday at MetLife, that Notre Dame has more touchdowns at MetLife than the Giants and Jets combined this season. So you have a sense of how New York football is going, and now the Yankees are down 0-2 in the World Series, and the Mets lost in the NLCS. It's not a good time for people who are fans of New York sports.
And Gary,
have you actually not been watching Jets games recently?
I watched today because the games were on, but I did not watch the Sunday night game last week. I didn't watch the game before that either. Why? Or the second half of the Bills game? Like, why would I? Like,
when was the last time would you say you had actively avoided watching the Jets?
I don't know if it's ever happened. I don't know that it's ever happened, but I certainly don't even feel bad about it. Like, today was like just reconfirming my belief that, like, I'm not missing anything. It just makes me sad. And, like, life's too short to be sad over a team that the season is lost. So, like, what's the point of even getting? Let's say in an ideal world they win like 5 straight games. Okay, now they're 7-6, and now I get my hopes up for what? There's no good that can come out of this. It would just result in another heartbreak. So, why not just let the season, circle the drain, and we'll see what happens next season.
Jeff should be worried because you're starting to sound incredibly sane. I think the Jets finally broke you and turned you.
No. It was. I mean, this is the first game ever where Jared has been able to watch a Jets game with Cust, and you could see him trying to you could see it in his eyes that he was getting excited whenever the Jets would do something good, and then you have to remind himself that he's not supposed to get excited again. Jared. On the mic for you. Well, what was your experience of watching the Jets game with Tim? Because I don't think it went as you thought it was going to go.
It was a bit more depressing than I thought it was going to be. If I'm being completely honest, I thought like Garion said, I thought the highs were going to be higher. It's mostly sadness. It's upsetting.
Well-placed sadness, as it turned out to be.
Well-deserved
Very
sadness.
well-deserved sadness.
No doubt.
Jacoby Brissett went 70 yards against the defense to win the game. How humiliating is that? I don't know if a team's ever fired their interim head coach, but Jeff Ulbrich should be fired. Like I said, give the job to Nathaniel Hackett. He doesn't do anything anymore. You might as well have him earn his keep by running the team for 3 weeks. We can fire him too. Well, it could be like the year of Celebrity Jeopardy where they didn't have a host. They just ran through people.
They had Aaron Rodgers.
Why don't we just run through a cast of people with a 2-week tryout to be the NFL head coach? How could that go wrong?
How much of the blame are you putting on Aaron Rodgers?
Again, he didn't play badly today. He didn't throw any picks.
So no, none of the blame. None of the blame on Rodgers.
It's not his fault that his defense gave up a 70-yard touchdown drive to Jacoby Brissett when he led the team down to the touchdown that gave him a lead. It's not his fault his kicker misses every single kick, whether it be a point after touchdown or a short field goal. I can't blame him for that. It's not his fault. The defense is underperforming, and they can't tackle. The kicking is bad, and Rodgers is only playing at a middle of the pack, if not slightly below middle of the pack quality. So it's not his fault this team is 2-6. Garion was right to note that a couple of things go the other way. This team could be 5-2 or something like that. But that has nothing to do with Rodgers. Those short little changes that could have affected the record are based on kicking and defense. They've been bad. They're just not sometimes this happens in politics. This happens in sports. When things start going badly for you, sometimes you just can't get them back. They just continue to get worse and worse and worse, no matter how hard you try to make things better, and no matter how many people have good intentions to get things better. Sometimes it's just a complete disaster. This year is a complete disaster, and it's not going to get better. When has it ever gotten better when a team's in a spot like this? I don't think the answer is never.
Less than a minute to go in Washington. It's 4th and 3.
For whom?
For the Bears on the Washington 10-ish yard line.
Okay.
And they've just run back-to-back quarterback draws with Caleb Williams. They're just not letting him put the ball in the air right now.
Give the ball throw it in the air to Moore. That's what you got him for.
He did return to this game as well. So, Gary, let's have some fun news here. Jameis Winston. Let's start there. How great of a story is this?
So famous.
Famous. Would you say he's more or less famous? They did go to DJ Moore. Keenan Allen pass interference in the end zone. So they're going to have the ball on the 1 with 30 seconds left. They should not have won this game, and they're going to win.
No, but they're the Arizona Cardinals in a lot of ways. They just keep stealing games.
I suppose so. So let's talk about the Browns. If the Browns had started Jameis all year long, Gary, what do you think the record would be?
Probably closer to 500.
I would have
right?
said 4-4. Yeah.
This is the best their defenses look too.
Yeah, and at home.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think I don't want to make it into this sort of magical. If Jameis had started for them all season, they'd be one of the best teams in the AFC. They'd be 6-2 or something along those lines. The defense has been bad, specifically their pass defense.
If Bateman catches a wide open ball, or if Hamilton catches a wide open ball, the Ravens win the game.
That's true.
So just a couple of horrible bounces went against Baltimore today of their own doing. They did it to themselves, but those are incredibly fluky drops for both of those players.
I didn't see any of the reaction after the game. Gary, did you see if Bateman had said the sun was in his eyes or something, or what the hell happened there?
I didn't. Maybe it was a oh god, what was that guy's name? Something Johnson. Who was the Bills wide receiver that like
Stevie
blamed
Johnson
God?
or Saint
Stevie
Johnson,
Yeah, maybe
as
the
someone
Stevie
in
Johnson situation.
someone in our fantasy league thought his name was Saint Johnson because he was St.
Not after that.
dot Johnson in Yahoo Fantasy
That
12
happened.
years ago.
You can probably guess who that person was.
Yeah.
And they're in. T.
For whom?
Looks like
Swift?
it is Roshan Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
How much time is left?
23 seconds.
There's still time for Daniels to do something magical.
I think they have one timeout left. They do.
I will say this does validate to some degree the criticism that both Chris and I had about this Washington team and their offense. That people who were building them out to be like this year's version of the 99 Rams or the 07 Patriots maybe need to pump brakes a little bit.
I don't think
This is the second time in
that
7
isn't
games.
what people were
all they
saying was that when you looked at the numbers and how much they were, the team doesn't punt. Tony Romo told us that.
No, but this is going to
They
be
lead the league in not punts, according to him.
This is the second time in 7 games that all of their points have come off field goals.
Absolutely.
That is a problem.
They had a problem punching it in, but they were still moving the ball incredibly well the entire game.
And in the NFC North, where 6-2 is currently in last place in the NFC North, like there's no place for Washington to go if other than the division. So like the wild cards, I mean, yeah, the North teams will all play each other. That'll work out, but it's starting to look like maximum one wild card is available for a non-NFC North team. So these losses are very dear, and to lose it to one of those NFC North teams, again, makes it that much more dear.
Well, they haven't lost the game yet.
They haven't, but things are not looking good.
Oh, did Jalen Coker end up with a touchdown? Someone just put that in the chat that Coker did something or had 18 DraftKings points. Run the Sims was all over that one. I couldn't even get to that one. Did he end up scoring a touchdown late? He did. 4 for 78 for a touchdown in garbage time for the Coke Man. So he's a real Ron Washington. We watched that video before we came on, Garion, the Ron Washington cartoon.
Oh, it's that's worth a rewatch every couple years, or probably a couple times a year.
It is, but it's like it's only on Daily Motion now, and you need to log
Yeah.
in to prove that you're 18 or older in order to watch it. But if you search Ron Washington cartoon on Daily Motion, you can watch the Ron Washington cartoon as long as you create an account. Additionally, you can get into a draw for $500 cash from my show, and we'll be giving away the winner this Tuesday evening on the Spread Show if you sub to Mayo Media Network right now. If you sub to the audio podcast and leave a 5-star review, you get more ballots in that draw. So I suggest that you do it, and you should smash the like while you're here. Let's try to cheer everyone up.
Sure.
Who's not going to score the first touchdown tonight?
It is Dallas and San Francisco. Kittle.
Kittle. Me Timbers?
Yeah. I don't like the Niners in this game at all. I think they're outclassed in this game.
Well, by Cam's picks so far this week, if Dallas wins, he goes 0-3.
Well, the Raiders covered
Oh, did the Raiders end up covering?
27-20.
No, so listen, 1-1. I take that back.
Sorry, Cam.
And what do you want from an MRE tonight?
Something delicious.
Well, you pick one of the pick.
I don't know what they are.
Well, just I'm sure you can kind of guess what the MREs are.
I
Salt and what?
I mean, we've had some soups. Maybe something that's like got some good protein to it.
Well, we got some good protein. Jared, can you bring out tonight's bit of food? Do you know what we have for him, Garion, tonight?
I don't. I'm excited.
We have a smash burger for him.
Oh, what's on it? Lettuce.
Everything that you like. It was ordered directly to your specifications
Oh,
for
okay.
everything that you like. Look at you go. Look at that. Now, it's not as thin as...
It has blue cheese. Mmm. I love blue cheese. Could I get a napkin, please? My hands have now touched it, and I have a thing about keeping my hands as clean as possible. So,
What?
like, I just need a napkin for my
Why
hand.
wouldn't you just eat the entire burger and then you can wipe your hands?
I
You're doing what my kids do, where they get their hands dirty and then they need to wipe them before they can eat again, then instantly get
do
their
this.
hands dirty.
I do
again.
this all the time. I don't like the feeling of my hands being dirty, so I like to wipe them. That was actually really good.
No.
That's not like the smash burger I'd had before.
So, Garion, what had happened was he went to some shit place, ordered a burger, and then just assumed the shitty place had the same, that it was all the same everywhere else. Like burgers couldn't be different at any other restaurant.
Bring 'em.
So wait, were you just not eating burgers?
No, he was very against smash burgers.
Oh, smash burgers in particular.
Yes.
Okay. Also, I've been sort of in and out the last month, obviously, but did you not do McDonald's Monopoly this time around, Tim?
He's out.
Wow.
Stop watching Jets games. Stop playing Monopoly at McDonald's.
You're an unrecognizable person.
I mean, there are two things that I love, but there are two things that I don't like right now. Well, that's not true. I do still like McDonald's Monopoly. I'm just proving to myself that I don't have to play it.
Who are you? You're just proving it to yourself?
To myself. That I can do it.
No one else cares.
No, I'm doing it.
I got free tokens or free
Pieces?
whatever you call them, stickers. I went to get lunch one day and like they asked me, I guess they'd poured like a large Coke or something and
Wow.
no one picked it up. So they're like, hey, do you want this? I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And if I had won something on those stickers, I was going to never let you hear the end
You
of it.
would have been like Charlie Bucket opening the last candy bar to get the golden ticket.
Except I would have won a small fry.
Well, you could have won something big.
Like a Dodge
could've.
Viper.
They were
I could have been in one of those commercials.
one of those Plymouth Prowlers they used to give out.
Could you imagine if Garion was in one of those commercials and all the credit that he would get for winning his Dodge Viper?
I would be dying with
much
jealousy.
credit.
So much jealousy. This is
Could
actually.
I would get a custom license plate for my Dodge Viper that said credit.
Oh! Touchdown, Washington! 70-yard Hail Mary tipped into the end zone for Noah Brown. After he dropped like 5 passes in this game,
How
he
about
caught
that?
the one that matters.
How about it?
Looking like 6-2 isn't last in the NFC North anymore, is it? Washington deserved that win. They played better the entire game. Oh, what an ending.
Caleb Williams had what, 6 yards passing going into the fourth quarter? Something ridiculous like that?
The blue cheese on this burger is so good.
I like that your spirits have turned around.
It's so good. It like brings out all of the bacony, beefy goodness, and it just is awesome. I could eat a burger with just blue cheese on it. I'm convinced of that.
Many people are saying that you have cursed the Bears now in this game.
Well, I mean, I did think it was over, but like, I bet you their win probability was 99.997 or something.
Well, there's a lot of times where these 99% chance winners do not win.
That's great for Jalen Daniels. Like, what a fantastic
Maybe
moment.
maybe that's
was
not the
Jaden.
only
Jaden,
thing
sorry.
you announced is over on this episode that's truly over. Makes you kind of think about the 2-6 Jets again, doesn't it, Tim?
They could win the rest of their games and be 11-6, and I would not be hyped up because they're just going to let me down. They have too many glaring flaws that they can't fix this season. They're not going to get better at tackling all of a sudden.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay.
Talking about their offense, how it's no good. Immediate 70-yard touchdown to win the game. Oh, that's great news. Fun times. Poor Rob lost his gold pick on that, too. He's going to be very upset with you. Not like Pat Garion. Pat's riding a new strategy of gold picks, and I've hit 4 in a row. Do you know what that strategy is?
I'll write it down. What is it?
Bet against the Carolina Panthers every week.
Oh, that's a pretty good strategy. Yeah, I don't hate that.
It's not bad. And I got a big sweat on underdog going into the final game. I got a $2,600 sweat on the go if CeeDee Lamb can earn fewer than 11.5 targets. And all of the newsletter readers and the Sunday show or the Saturday show watchers will win their 20-1 as well.
I'm not listening.
You're not listening?
No.
You got a little
You got a
little
little cum
mustard on your
face
lip there,
pal.
kid.
This is such a good burger.
In on Smash Burgers.
Bears fans are now mad at you to go pick another team after you quit the Jets and went on to the Bears.
That didn't
You're like a
happen.
mercenary.
No, that didn't happen.
Fan
though.
bases should hire you for their
First,
rival teams.
That didn't happen. Secondly, the team I said I hoped would like to see win the Super Bowl this year now is Kansas City, not the Bears. Secondly, I mean, that looked like the game was over. Don't blame me that you gave up a 70-yard Hail Mary. Blame yourselves.
Oh, Puck says he won $3,000 on Underdog today. Shout out to Puck. Code Mayo at Underdog, by the way, will get you a Dak Prescott free pick for this evening if you're a new customer. Let's fill one out right now. I think I'm going to have to go down with the ship on this CeeDee Lamb lower than 11.5. Oh, it's 10.5 targets now. I've moved the line, Garion.
I mean, I want to roll with what's been successful and take an over on Turpin.
Over on Turpin?
Whether it's receptions or yards, pick your choice, but something to do with Turpin.
Something to do with Turpin. Do we have Higher or lower than 1.5 rushing yards for Kevontae Turpin? Higher or lower than 22.5 receiving yards?
I like that.
That's the one.
I like that.
So that's Tim's entry. There's also a 50% boost on any entry you can put in right now. So Garion, I got Lamb lower targets. He has Turpin higher. Do you have anyone from San Francisco you can get behind? Jordan.
What are the Kittle lines looking like?
Kittle lines. I'll look up Kittle lines. You can go longest rush, Jordan Mason. 17.5. That's something out there.
Wish I had another burger.
You wish you had another burger?
It was so good.
I thought smash burgers were all terrible.
Well, I'm just saying that burger was delicious, but the blue cheese really made it.
So you would just like to eat a bucket of blue cheese?
No. It's a perfect complementary flavor to something like that.
We have 57.5 receiving yards for Kittle, 4.5 receptions for Kittle, if you'd like to play that.
I go over the 4.5 receptions.
4.5 receptions. Okay, let's do that. So with the 50% boost, that pays almost 9-1. So let's do that. 125 pays 11.07. There's the official play of the Sunday night show. So Kittle not scoring the first touchdown. That's 9-1. I went and bet that. So we have Lamb lower than 10.5 targets, Turpin higher than 22.5 receiving yards, and George Kittle higher than 4 receptions. You use code Mayo right now. That's already, I guess you wouldn't be able to use the 50% boost, but you can throw on the Dak free pick if you are a new player with Underdog at code Mayo, and you get yourself up to 10-1 on that entry. Who wouldn't love to do that, Garion? You, probably, because you live in stupid Ontario.
I mean, oh yeah, right. Yeah.
That's not going to work out well for you.
Well, that's just my new reality. That's just my life. It's fine. But everyone else can win money. That sounds fun.
Yeah,
I'd be happy for them.
You're a big
I'm an
fan of
empath.
helping others win money.
I love having
Yeah.
Garion on the live show, but this was one week if we had Kenny Kim on the live show.
Well, then Kenny couldn't be going crazy on Twitter at the moment.
Oh, I bet he is. That's remarkable. Congratulations to you Commanders fans who I sort of gloat a little bit about your lack of success. Not that I don't have anything against your team. I think your team is fun, but I'm sure all the people who are happy that this went this way will be happy that I said some negative things about them.
So the Eagles also ended up, Garion, winning and blowing out, really, the Bengals. Tim was on that one. Trash team, the Bengals.
Yeah, that was a total play against the Bengals, who are, like the Jets, done for.
And then all of a sudden, T. Higgins just comes up with this quad injury on Friday, doesn't play in the game. They got Yoshavas out there again. But it was the first time, and it wasn't really their fault they didn't score points in the first quarter, Garion, because I think the Bengals' opening drive was 12 minutes or something insane like that. It was 17 plays. Yeah. But are the Eagles kind of rounding into form? Are they sort of the snake in the grass right now that no one's really paying attention to because they don't look all that great, but they still have all the pieces to be awesome?
Yeah, I would say they're definitely an overlooked team at this point. And that's well, you know what? I mean, the Commanders obviously do throw somewhat of a wrench into this because them being way better than expected doesn't give the Eagles sort of that free path to a playoff berth that, not that they haven't been good the last half decade, but it just seems like there hasn't really been anyone in that division capable of competing with them for a playoff spot. So you almost get all of September and all of October to sort of experiment and work your way into the season, kind of like, the Chiefs have maybe done the last couple of years as well, although they seem to win games while they're doing it. But yeah, look, Hurts, a year ago at this time, we were talking about Jalen Hurts like he could be the best quarterback in football. And there was obviously some injuries in the second half that limited his play, but if he's able to be anything approaching the guy he was at the start of last season, that just puts their offense in that elite tier. I don't think the defense is as good as it's been in seasons past, but it's enough. And yeah, look, this is kind of an interesting season where I don't think there's as many good teams as we've had in seasons past. It just feels like there's a lot of meh, aside from the Chiefs. So
and the Lions,
it really seems wide open in the NFC right now.
Yeah, the Lions are now, I think, if I were doing power rankings.
Well, the Lions too, yeah.
I have to put the Lions one now. They've done enough. The Chiefs have played not great enough that at this point, if they're on a neutral field, the Lions are favored.
I don't think that
I think they are now.
I don't think that they are. But why? Because they beat the shit out of the
But they beat
Titans
everybody by
so the Jets beat the fucking Titans.
They score a million
the Titans
points.
are terrible.
The Lions are now the best team in the NFL. And they play the Packers next week.
The Lions are number 2, Garion.
If they beat the
Until
Packers
the Chiefs
next
lose,
week,
the Chiefs are number
so
1.
if they beat the Packers next week comfortably, will make no difference to you.
As long as the Chiefs keep winning, the reigning Super Bowl champions who have won what now, Garion? 11 in a row? 12 in a row?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the Lions have
That
one
don't
loss.
seem like they're trying and still winning these games comfortably.
Okay. I think at this point, the Lions have earned the top spot.
Because the Lions, I mean, they basically just did what Baltimore did, just beating the crap out of bad teams.
But they beat really good teams, too.
But they have a loss.
They
They
have
lost to
a
the
loss.
Bucs. They lost to the Bucs.
They did lose to the Bucs. Anyway, they have the Packers this week. If they should dispatch the Packers, I think it kind of like makes it undebatable of them to be the best.
Well,
team.
but I mean, the Packers could be playing without their starting quarterback.
Fair enough. If it's Malik Willis, fair enough.
Okay, so it's fair. So Gary, it's fair enough if they beat the Packers with Malik Willis. That wouldn't.
Well, that
count.
doesn't
But
boost
to beat
them the way
to
that-
beat the Titans, the crappy Titans with their backup quarterback. What an achievement!
Well, I'm not so sure there's any difference
Achievement, Gary, in football.
It's that offense. That offense
is awesome. Listen, I'm not saying that Detroit's bad. I have them at number 2.
When you talk about elite offenses, Detroit's by itself, and there's no other offense close. Then there's a gap. Then there's every other offense that you want to rank. Detroit is the elite offense.
I mean, points per game. I don't know if that's the case.
Probably is now with 52 points today.
I think it's them. Atlanta
Commanders.
keeps going that way. The Commanders, obviously. Those 3. Is there someone I'm missing there, elite offense wise? It's not the Giants.
I mean,
the Bills put up a ton of points.
Bills put up a ton of points. Again, the Chiefs, we've talked about how it doesn't look like they're trying. Like, we saw this last year. Everyone doubted their offense, and then suddenly the playoffs roll around and no
I
one
don't
can
doubt
stop
their
Patrick
offense.
Mahomes.
I don't doubt their offense. I just don't think they can score as much as Detroit can.
Well, also at some point, not only did they just add DeAndre Hopkins, but you figure they're going to get Hollywood Brown back. Like, by week 12, this could look like a very different passing offense.
Pacheco should be back, I think, in 3 weeks,
Yeah.
too.
Certainly, that's the Super Bowl that we want to see. Through the halfway point of the year, which is where we are.
Seems like you want to see.
Lions-Chiefs would be, I think, the most just one. Those are the 2 clearly best teams in the NFL.
I don't know. I'm just kind of mad at fragile Lions fans who get mad whenever you say that they're. I mean, they'll love you. You're saying that they're the best team. If you don't, they're like the
They are.
Vikings fans. Vikings fans, if you don't say that they before this week weren't the best team in the league, they get very up in their emotions about it.
Well, those
if
2
you don't
teams-
say that Detroit is the best team, they get very up in their emotions.
Those
about
2
it.
teams-
It's a reminder that these franchises suck historically.
Yes.
they're much like the teams.
fan
that you
bases
root
are
for,
damaged.
and they get really triggered
They
when
do.
things don't go their way. They need to be more like Garion, who just assumes that the worst is going to happen at all times and move on. It's like Paul being a Bills fan. Bills fans, even in the Josh Allen era, are always expecting the rug to be pulled out from underneath them. They've seen it so many times. I don't understand how Lions fans aren't like this.
They just
Or
seem
Vikings fans. Viking fans in particular. Like, the Vikings have lost in the craziest ways throughout the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I guess 30 years now.
But have
actually.
also
God
won
knows.
in some, but also have won in some crazy ways too. Think of like at least 2 playoff games against New Orleans. They had no right to win.
Yeah, the
and they
Vikings,
stole at the end.
famously known for winning big games, the Minnesota Vikings.
No, but in the last 20 years, you talk about like terribly bad losses. They've also had like really crazy wins too.
So, do we think that Love is going to be out for any extended period of time?
Who knows?
Like-
Honestly, who knows? I
Soft tissue's not what you want to hear.
he should be out for a bit
It's a groin injury. they're
because
saying.
if he tears his groin, he's going to be out for a significant period of time.
Ow, my groin.
Like, if the Packers have any aspirations of a really deep run in the playoffs or even making the Super Bowl, they need Love to be 100% when the calendar turns. So, you got to be. I think you need to be cautious with him.
do they have a bye week coming up?
Well, I know they have Detroit next week, and then maybe they have a bye.
Because if they did, let's see, they have the Lions November 3rd.
Yeah.
Is that next week?
Next week.
Oh my God.
Clocks go back too. Thank
And then
goodness.
they're at the Bears on the
no.
17th.
So there's the week of the 10th that they must be off.
Okay. So it's probably wise to not play Love next week.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's worth saying.
And they've been okay with Will. Listen, all 3 games that Willis has played
Yeah.
in, he started 2 and came in this one, they've won.
It's magical when he enters the game that suddenly no one can tackle Josh Jacobs.
be a tough challenge to
I don't know
score
why
enough.
he's awful when Jordan Love's under center, but he's the best running back in the league suddenly when Malik Willis is in the game.
Be tough to hold up against the Lions with Malik Willis, I think.
Listen, and I think that the Lions are better than the Packers anyway. So even if they had a fully healthy Jordan Love, it'd be a pretty
And the
competitive
Lions,
game.
I think the Packers also know this and are like, you know what? If we give up the game, I mean, we're not giving it up, but if we sort of say don't play Love, we know that we're really doing injury to our division chances. But so what? We'll go to the playoffs healthy. We'd rather go into the playoffs healthy, going to Detroit, than risking a serious injury trying to keep a game at Lambeau.
So we got some other fun stuff here. Let's see. Lions. Oh, moment of the day. I had a few. There was, as Jared pointed out, that sheriff who got rocked on the Hail Mary
that poor fellow.
in the Tampa Bay Atlantic game.
Poor fellow, because he's not allowed to look back because he's got to be watching the crowd for security reasons.
At least he wasn't like the dude that Will Levis ran over a few weeks ago who was like 83 years old. At least he wasn't a young man.
No.
But he was of like able body.
It's a complete blindside, right? And that's what's so unfortunate about it.
Let's see. The Tua slide was really good. But I think number one was the Washington kicker, Garion, who chunked a field goal kick.
Never seen
it. Never seen it before. I'm sure it's happened. It's just that
his foot literally hit the grass first.
It's like me when I hit a bomb drive on a par 5. I'm like, oh, I only have a 7-iron in. This is amazing. Chunk.
Yeah.
Immediate chunk.
It was wild.
It is true though. It's just like you're so conditioned now. Like kickers are making anything within 60 yards.
Not like it.
So
Not if you're Greg Zuerlein, you're not.
not like a
you miss everything.
Anyone that isn't a Jets kicker, well, again, it's the curse of getting rootied off the field that one time. Tim, you'll never have a good kicker again.
Was it him or was it another kicker?
No, it was a different kicker,
Yeah.
but like that franchise in general will now be cursed at the kicker position.
My moment of the day was in the. I'm trying to think which game. It was in the Chicago and Washington game where Jim Nantz took a little dig at Tony Romo on the catch that didn't count as a touchdown in the end zone. He said, "Oh, it's good to see, Tony, that you and Gene Steratore finally agree on a catch going to the ground, not counting as a completion." Because Steratore was the referee of the Dez not catching the ball playoff game. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Someone else also pointed out that Kyle Pitts probably should have had a fumble on that second
It
touchdown.
probably was a fumble.
100%.
Probably was. If it had been called a fumble, it would definitely
And that
stood.
happened 2 or 3 times today, that the ruling on the field had to stand, but had it been called the other way, it also would have stood.
Yeah. The last play of the Jets and Patriots game, and they reviewed that for forever, the touchdown. Like, you really couldn't tell which way that went, whether actually it was a touchdown or not. And if they had called him short, they wouldn't have overturned it. It was like...
There was that Ertz catch was kind of the same thing.
Ertz was like that, yeah.
That if they had called it a touchdown, I don't think that they could have overturned it. That's the call that you're talking about.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of, yeah.
Yeah, there was a few of those today. And there was like, what was up with all the Atlanta players? Like, Pitts dropped it before the end zone. Remember Bijan just kind of took a step into the end zone and stopped?
No, another moment of the day was for reasons that I don't know because we didn't have the sound on, the Seahawks started fighting with each other on the sidelines.
That's right. Like, what's going on there?
What
Like,
is going
just
on
very
there?
mad. Let's talk about the Bills for a second.
Sure.
We talked about the Patriots. Shout out to the Patriots. Drake May was looking good until you laughed at him when he got a concussion.
I was laughing at the Jets' terrible kicking.
That is not true because it happened. Okay, so what happened was we found out, Garion, that Drake May had suffered a concussion against the Jets. However, there was no kicking going on at the time in that game because Drake May had just been announced with a concussion. There was also a famine commercial, so Tim was either laughing at famine or he was laughing at Drake May.
In my mind,
One
I
of the
was
two.
already envisioning, and it came to pass, that we are going to lose this game to Jacoby Brissett because our kicker is going to keep missing kicks. And I just started to laugh in my head thinking of, oh my goodness, we're going to do this. And we did exactly what I feared would happen.
Oh,
Okay, so if you just started laughing to yourself at a thing you created in your head, I'm going to take back my earlier statement about you maybe being sane.
You know, I'm going through a lot of emotions in these games, Gary, and you understand this.
I also lost on a last-second kick today.
That's tough. Well, the
And-
Cardinals do that to everybody, so I guess...
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
they did say, well, we were saying in the room that if the Saints had any life, the Chargers would have lost that game.
The Chargers were desperately trying to give that
They were
game away.
They were trying to do the same thing as they did against Arizona
They
on Monday.
wanted someone to take that game, but the Saints just wouldn't take it back. Concerning. And again, Jim Harbaugh was yelling and screaming on the sidelines again.
Well, maybe it's nice to have a coach to show some emotion, not some yes man who's there to take all the heat
Well, I mean,
and then get fired.
shows-
All right, bring in the next one.
shows a little too much emotion, I
Well,
think.
they won the game.
They did, but, I'd be a little nervous if I were a Chargers fan. The last 2 games do not inspire confidence. That team coming off a bye.
Nothing this season has really inspired all that much confidence. I know they got off to a great start, but like,
I mean, they're tougher. They're not making as many dumb mistakes. Although that was a great
Sure.
moment of the day, too, when the snap to the punter was so far to the right that it was a safety.
I do want to talk about the Bills. Paul, how are you feeling about the old Buffalo Bills? Tim's claimed that they have the division clinched by Halloween. I think it is a 3.5 game lead now in the division, maybe even a 4 because they beat the Dolphins. And have they played the Patriots yet?
No, not yet.
So they beat the Jets, they beat the Dolphins, they haven't played the Patriots. Things are looking up, and DeMar Hamlin might actually be good at defense. Shockingly. What a turn.
Not bad for a soft defense, eh, Cust?
They're playing well again. I don't know what you want.
How many points did your Lions give up against the Seattle Seahawks? 36?
Yeah, the Lions defense is not great. The Lions defense that's their Achilles heel. There's no question. Look, Buffalo is taking advantage of the games they're being given, and they're winning them. So I give them full props for that.
Now, you said, I think it was this morning or it was on the show, the Bills suck. Do you stand by that?
I don't think they're very good. I think once they get into the playoffs and play sort of the upper crust of the AFC, sort of like when we saw them play Baltimore a couple of weeks ago, they were no match. I still think when they play the top 2 or 3 teams, the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Texans, who they also lost to, I don't like their chances against the really good teams. But are they good enough to be a 4 seed? I mean, clearly, yes. The answer is yes. They're good enough to be that 4 seed.
They could be
even a 3
2 seed right now.
Well, again, because they lost those games to the Ravens and the
That's
Texans.
fine. As I keep telling you, as long as teams continue to win, they're going to be
Yeah,
fine.
but
you're really hung up
you
on
have to win the
tiebreakers in the first half.
You have
of the
to
season.
win the
You know what's
extra game.
easier? Winning games. Just win the games.
In
Win
a
the games.
season
They're going
where
to be
there
fine.
are so few games played, not having that go your way is a real detriment to you.
Garion, do you think this is another indictment and maybe an indication of rooting for loser teams, that you're always just thinking about tiebreakers 6 weeks into the season?
Maybe.
Do you do that?
No, because that would mean you assume your team is making the playoffs.
The 5 best offenses, by the way, coming into the week. Do you know who they are by DVOA?
I think we probably listed them: Washington, Detroit, Buffalo, Philadelphia.
Not Philadelphia.
Not Philadelphia.
Baltimore's number 1.
Baltimore,
Buffalo's
yeah.
2.
Great.
Washington, Detroit, Green Bay. 5.
Yeah.
Sure.
I still think. I still think.
So your feelings tell you Detroit
If
has
a
the best
person had
offense.
to choose, if you could pick any offense for the rest of the year, who would you pick? I think the preponderance of people would say, "Give me what the Lions have, and I'll just figure it out."
I think I would
I think
take
the
Baltimore.
preponderance of people would pick Patrick Mahomes' team.
Well, yes, he doesn't have much else.
I'd
though.
just pick Patrick Mahomes.
I don't think they can win a shootout, and they have not yet proven they can win a shootout.
But do they ever need to try to
At
be
some
in a
point, they're
shootout?
going to have to win one. I don't know when that'll be.
And like we said, their skill position
They're number
group is going
7,
to
by
look
the way.
entirely
Sure.
different in 3 weeks.
They score like 25, 27 points a game. It's not like they're scoring 16 points. But they're going to get into a game with someone like a Ravens or a Buffalo where there is going to be some points put up. And they have yet to prove they can do that.
So wait, you just said that you don't think Buffalo can beat Kansas City, but you also don't think Kansas City could put up points against a team like Buffalo.
I'm saying they could get into a game with a team like that where it's going to be a shootout. The Bills can certainly score a lot of points in any particular game. But I don't know. I stand by it that the Chiefs are excellent. Chiefs are the second best team. They're probably going to the Super Bowl of the AFC, but their offense is not as elite as it has been. And I feel like there are going to be challenges for them in a game or two where they're going to have to score 38 or 40 points in a game. And I don't know whether they can do it.
Is there any chance that if Love sits next week, that Cam doesn't take the Packers against the spread against the Lions?
It'd be very difficult because the game I think is in Green Bay.
I don't know where it is, but they'll have a backup quarterback starting.
Yeah, and Willis has already won twice, and he played great today, and they won. Yeah, it'd be very difficult for that not to be a Cam game.
So we'll see what Cam has to say on the Best Bet show on Wednesday.
Can I predict? What do you think about the Packers, Pat? That's what he'll have to say.
Houston and Indy was one of the weirdest games I can remember from the past few weeks. Like, we had it on and off. Eventually, we turned the Detroit game off to turn that one on because that wasn't the one that made the cut because we had to subject you to watching the Jets and Patriots game. But did you watch any of it, Garion? Because Richardson was not good.
No, but that doesn't shock me. I feel like I've watched parts of 5 Colts games this season, the ones that Richardson has played, and I don't know. It's crazy to think that a guy who looked so explosive and so good in spurts in his rookie season. And again, I think it was week 1 he had that crazy throw, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And since that moment, he has looked terrible. Like irredeemably bad. And at this point, if you're the Colts, because again, there's a massive opportunity here for a team that probably shouldn't make the playoffs in the AFC to make the playoffs.
And they're in.
I don't know how much longer you
Denver
can justify
seems like-
not starting Joe Flacco.
The Broncos seem like they're that team right now.
You know what's weird? Denver might actually be good.
Their defense is good. I don't think that Bo Nix is very good.
Why not? Why isn't Bo Nix good?
I still haven't seen him play like a great game. Like,
No, but he is playing the he's playing the exact sorts of games that he needs to play with this defense.
this team's starting to remind me of like that 2009, 2010 Jets team with Sanchez on
No,
offense.
this team is
Where-
a lot. This team
where
is a
this
lot
team-
like last year's Jets team, except Bo Nix is a better version of of Zach Wilson.
That's why I think the actually 09 Jets is like a perfect comparison.
Sanchez was good in those.
He
years.
wasn't very good, but he was a rookie. He wasn't very good, and that defense carried them quite a distance. And
But
it
that's the
just
thing. Don't
eked
you
into
feel like
the
this is the
playoffs.
kind of Broncos team that's going to go, let's say, 10-7, based on a relatively easy schedule and the fact that their defense is fantastic, and then they're going to get into a wild card game where you're like, am I really going to bet on Bo Nix? And they're going to lose like 35-6.
Or they're going to go into the Ralph and beat the Bills because it's snowing and a little bit cold, and the Bills can't handle that, and win the game like 14-3. I mean, they played last year, and I believe the Broncos beat the
When
Bills.
was the last time the Bills lost in the first round?
Well, it's
To Houston in 2019, I think.
yes, because they
So
won.
every year it just happens to the Bills, Gary, and they get beat in the first
No,
round
but they'll
by a
get-
crappy opponent.
They get,
every year it
it's-
happens.
Sooner or later, they get beat by a team that's not better than them.
The problem, the Broncos are suffering through the Bears' problem right now. Is that the Bears played 3 absolute duds 3 weeks in a row, and now they played a real team. They couldn't move the ball anymore, which is kind of like I'm surprised that their defense held up in the red zone as well as it did today. But they gave up a ton of yards. Like their defense didn't look good until Washington only had 8 more yards to go.
Yeah.
You know, between the 20s, it wasn't very good. But the moment that Caleb Williams had pressure on him, as you pointed out, he looked like a deer standing on ice.
Completely. That was a little disconcerting, but he's a rookie. So, like, that's going to happen. It's going to take
Sure,
time to
but
get
we
used to
just
that.
saw him play 3 games where they generated zero pressure against him.
I agree with all that.
The moment you start turning up the heat, he doesn't look very good.
No, he looks like a rookie, which he is. It's
And
going
he
to take
needs-
him time.
And he'll get better.
Yeah.
But to believe in the Bears the way that you did, I don't think that you can believe in the Broncos the same way either, because they've just played the Panthers and the Saints in back-to-back
I agree.
weeks.
I just
they
look at-
lost to the Chargers, they played the Raiders, and they played the shitty Jets. Like,
But the
and they're
AFC,
4-1.
the AFC is bad, and so they're going to get to play a lot of bad teams. And they're
Well, the
already
AFC is bad to a point. There's 4 very good teams
Yeah,
in the AFC.
but
So
7
again, eventually,
But 7 get to make it, right? And the Broncos already have, 5 wins? So they probably need to find 4 more between now and New Year's Day to get in.
So
I think that's there.
So we think the Bills are probably the only team out of the AFC East making the playoffs, right?
Most definitely.
The Texans, maybe the Colts. Like the Colts suck, but they could make the playoffs.
Colts aren't out of it, but
it's like the Colts or the Chargers seems like that team that might sneak in.
Well, then you go to Baltimore
in Pittsburgh.
and Pitt. Well, one of them will
both
win the
in.
division, and then one of them will be the wild card. It looks like at this
Yeah.
point, anyway. Can Cincinnati or Cleveland go on a big enough run to make it?
I don't think so.
Well, so that,
I'm not willing to bet Cincinnati out.
I
I
am.
would say of the teams that are below 500, they're the one that I'm not willing to declare dead just yet.
So the way that you would have to look at this, you have the Bills, Ravens, Steelers, Texans, and Chiefs. There's 5. You have 2 more
spots.
teams between the 5-3 Broncos, the 4-3 Chargers, and the 4-4 Colts. Like one of these other teams from the back end you might just need to get to 9 wins. That might be good
I
enough.
just said that. You need to get to 9, but the Broncos already being at 5 is such a huge
It's
advantage.
helpful, but like they could go lose to the Raiders.
They
in
could.
2 weeks
Oh,
or
they
something.
totally could. But like those are probably the teams, and I need to see. You need to see the Bengals play really good football to think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to catch them.
They've played well when they've had everyone. I think
But they've lost those games
I think
too.
they're 0-3 without T. Higgins now.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize he was such a cut. Maybe they should sign him to that big extension.
like they were not impressive last week against the Browns in a win. They were really unimpressive against the Giants in a win, and then they lost today. Like
Well, and the other thing too is their defense has looked atrocious, which is
Yeah.
not a trait that we've seen a lot from Cincinnati the
No.
last half decade. Like that, you can usually hang their hat on the fact that their defense is going to be top 10 DVOA, and then it's like, okay, can Joe Burrow have a great game or even a good game? Because that's probably enough with the way our defense generally plays. But
Yeah.
again, today they just could not stop anything on that side of the ball.
nope.
In the NFC, who are we feeling right now?
Well, I think we can say pretty confidently that Detroit's in.
Well, I mean, no one's technically in.
No,
yet.
but
So you
like
have-
to make the playoffs.
Do you think that more than so the NFC West is the Cardinals and Seahawks are tied for the lead?
Yeah.
At 4-4. If the Niners win tonight, they'll also be 4-4, and the Rams are 3-4. So probably just one of them come out.
And I don't know who I would pick right now. If you told me I had to just pick one, I might take the Rams, given that they've come through their injuries already.
Their defense is so bad.
But everybody's got
There's
real
only one
problems.
team with a positive point differential in that division.
Is it Arizona?
No, it's San Francisco.
Yeah, well, because they beat the Jets by 1,000,000 points on opening night.
Yeah,
That's
all of
the
Arizona's
reason.
wins are by 1 point,
Yeah,
and
the San
they
Francisco
kick last
Fair
second
enough,
field
but
goals.
The Niners point differential basically hinges on that opening game. I think I still would take the Rams, all things considered, but I don't know.
How far do you think the Niners need to be out of it, Garion, before I actually give up on them to win this division? 3-6 might
I
be
don't know, like-
a bridge too far for me.
I was gonna say like losing their next 2 games, but I don't think they're gonna lose tonight. So
They're idle next
I
week.
think they're just right back in this.
What's their spread against the bye week?
Well, they need the bye week desperately.
They do, and McCaffrey will be back, it looks like. We'll
Tonight's
see
are really important. If they lose tonight, they're in trouble. I really believe that. 'Cause then they're at 5 losses. They're in trouble.
You know who you should have picked to score the first touchdown was Ricky Bullets. That's the guy you need.
I actually really like Dallas's chances. I'm just feeling it. Same way I felt the Rams Thursday night. Sort of like it was a hunch. I just thought that they were going to.
How bad was that call? Not that I think
Awful.
that it actually mattered. Like you
Awful.
want to talk about like a 99 win
awful
probability? Like there was what? They had no timeouts, 50 seconds in their own end zone, and they needed a 2-point conversion. On top
awful.
of a
I wouldn't be
touchdown,
able to-
and then win in overtime.
I wouldn't be able to sleep all night on a Thursday night if my team lost that way. I would just be.
They didn't lose that way.
Well, the game.
That's how the
ended that
game
way.
ended, but they didn't lose that way.
That would really, really bother me. They're on Sunday night next week. They're gonna wreak havoc against the Colts.
All right. Well, before we get to the spreads, I have some other notes here, Garion, for you. Did you know that Tim used to be good at holding flashlights?
Okay, I have 2 questions about this. One, how do you determine if you're good at holding a flashlight? 2, how do you then become bad at it?
Okay, so I don't know that I am bad at it anymore. I just don't get the opportunity to do it very often anymore. But when I was
Is this
younger,
like for your dad doing
yes,
maintenance and
exactly.
stuff?
When I was
Okay.
younger, I was really good at holding the flashlight and being able to sort of anticipate where the light needed to go next, where to hold it so that the shadows wouldn't be cast in the wrong spot.
You're the Tua of holding a flashlight. You just know where that guy's gonna be before he's there.
I have great
Quick
flashlight anticipation. I was really good at holding a flashlight. I'm not a handy person by nature at all, but I like to pride myself on someone who's held the flashlight a lot of the time. You know, when like cars are being worked on or like a furnace is being worked on, that I'm pretty good at holding the flashlight and picking the right spots to shine it on.
Then there was
And big headlamp came along and ruined all your skill.
Then there was, I think it was an Instacart commercial with DMX playing in it, and Tim asked, "Is that Lamar Kendrick's song?"
Oh boy.
It said it was like they were doing like a mock halftime show. So I thought it was like referring to the halftime show of the Super Bowl.
Featuring Lamar Kendricks.
Yeah. I always mistake his name for some reason.
Lamar, Kendricks.
I invert it for some reason.
Cust had no idea who he was, and then he went and looked at it, and he was the Billboard's #2 rapper of all time. And then Cust said that should probably be someone like Pharrell Williams.
Who was it? Like Jay-Z?
Yeah, Jay-Z, #1.
Yeah. Should we try to get a beef between Kendrick and Tim going?
No, but
Yes.
I have nothing against him.
It seems like you have
Well,
everything.
you didn't know who he was. That's disrespect.
And then he argued with us for like 15 straight minutes that he like wasn't anyone someone knew.
No, I didn't say that. I kept saying, well, obviously he has to be someone who's incredibly famous and well-known because he's doing the headlining of the Super Bowl. I just don't know much about him.
Do you know that he's Anna Kendrick's husband, and that's why he took the last name?
All right.
I killed Garion, man. Thank you to the guy in the chat who put that out. It was very funny. Smash a like while you're here. But then he was arguing with us about Spotify because he doesn't know how to use Spotify. He assumes that no one knows how to use Spotify. And then he told us that he doesn't use Apple or Spotify. He uses YouTube for his music, but not YouTube Premium
we've talked
for
about
his
this.
music. He just leaves his phone open while the video plays.
We've talked about this
But
before.
we have talked about this, but again, I don't understand how you don't understand how to use Spotify.
I don't.
Even if you just go in and like click the search button and type in the song you want to listen
That's
to.
exactly
That's all
what
it
Butts
takes.
told you.
It is what he told me. I'm sure it is very user-friendly. I just don't know it. I don't understand it. I feel like Cam these days. I don't know it. I don't understand it. I'm comfortable with what I've got.
Cam's almost 50. You're in your mid-30s.
Late 30s.
You're mid-30s.
Yeah.
I like how you're the only person I've ever seen trying to make themselves
to be older.
I want to be accurate.
Additionally, Gary, he also told us that Spotify wasn't a big deal till a couple years ago.
Like, it got really big a few years ago.
And then we went and looked at it, that Spotify had 20 million users in
Just
2000.
making crib notes of everything I say in the house.
2012. Well, I had to look all this stuff up because you just said it with a band. Like, well, it's been a couple years. Spotify's been a big deal. We saw they went public 6 years ago. In 2012, they had 20 million users. And then he said that wasn't very much. And then when he saw a YouTube video that had 5 million views and said that everyone in the world had seen it because it had 5 million views.
That's an individual video.
This is an individual app.
Were you using Napster up until this point, Tim?
No,
Or?
YouTube for music. Just type in the video or the song you want to listen to, and you click enter, and it's there. It's too easy.
People are shocked you're in your mid-30s.
Okay. I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
No, they thought you were like 25.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
But it's that beard that makes you look older
Thank you.
and all the sauce you have in it.
I have sauce in it? You're not letting me on TV with sauce in my beard.
People are asking, were you a LimeWire guy?
No.
Were you a Kazaman?
No, CDs.
Frostwire, then.
CDs. I purchased CDs at Music World and listened to them. That is what I did. Or cassettes. And I borrowed those and listened to them.
Did you borrow them from the library?
I listened. No, my father had a huge collection of cassettes.
Many are saying that you just you wouldn't condone piracy, would you?
No, and I didn't know how to do it. Wasn't comfortable with it.
So this is nothing new of everything passing you by. It's your entire life, everything has passed you by.
I just went to the Music World and bought the CD and listened to it.
So you've never been to the Pirate Bay?
No, I've heard of that, but no, I've never used that.
Okay.
Mitchell says, Tim, the flashlight holder, is the person who clearly has no idea what's going on and needs to be useful while standing out of the way. That's exactly what we talked about of why you were holding the flashlight.
I am useful.
Butt said that there's some show on Netflix now that's called Outlast, where I guess it's like living in the Alaskan wilderness, but you're on a team with people. But Tim thought that he'd be a valuable member of the team because he could do things like hold a flashlight.
I could also
and point out wood.
I could help put the shelter together and could fish or any number of things.
Well, let's get some spreads. Paula, do you have it pulled up?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, Garion, when would you like to go?
I'll go second.
All right. So, Tim can go first this week. I don't think you've gone first yet.
It's been a while.
Been a while. George Kittle scored the first touchdown yet?
No, the game hasn't started.
What do we have? Turpin higher receiving, Kittle higher receptions, Lamb lower targets on Underdog, code Mayo. If you just sign up for the first time, you can use the DAC free square to get that to 10-1, or there's a 50% boost token right now that gets it to 9-1 with just those three if you want it as well. So just pointing that out there. And you did like Dalvin Cook for first touchdown. You told me that.
Yeah, I do like that. I do like him for that. All the ex-Jets are good, so why wouldn't he be?
Jets on Thursday night, Paul?
They are.
I thought you had it pulled up.
I was when you went over, I started looking for the Dallas line because they pulled it off of the board, but
Okay.
I'll find it somewhere else. Yeah, it's Houston at the New York Jumbo Jets.
Houston by 1.5.
Nope.
Garion?
Houston by 3.
Nope.
Is it Houston by 2 or Houston by 1? You said 1.5, right?
Yeah.
Houston by 1.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. I almost made it Jets -1, actually.
Too much respect for
I
the
almost made it
crap Jets.
-1. The Texans have been so unimpressive.
I mean, we barely talked about them. They did almost lose to Indy today.
They almost lose
terrible
every,
Anthony
They almost
Richardson.
lose every week, and sometimes they occasionally do. So they've not been impressive. Okay, Garion's turn.
Next game up, we got the Broncos at the Ravens.
Oh, this is a good test for the Broncos.
I'm going to say Ravens by 6.
Nope.
The Ravens are probably favored by more, but if Denver can continue to get into back, like we saw, it wasn't even Myles Garrett that was disrupting the
No, he didn't do
Ravens
much today.
But I think they were going out of their way to stop him, then everyone else ran through their... We forget that Baltimore is a terrible offensive line.
They do.
Because Lamar makes up for it so often. This could be a real challenge here. Baltimore by 7.5.
Nope.
7.
It's 9.
Oh, I get
Whoa.
9. That's a lot of points.
Yeah, well,
And Baltimore's D's not that great.
I guess West Coast team coming east, but yeah, it is seem. I mean,
This is a game Bo Nix could look terrible in too.
one
Yeah,
more thing.
for sure.
The Ravens do tend to take it. Well, but the Broncos aren't a terrible team, so.
Do you think that the
Seems
dark
like a lot of
web is
points.
being on your phone with the lights out?
I don't know what it is, but I know it's not that.
Are you sure? How you were confident about a bunch of things you were telling us earlier, which you had no clue about. But
Well, I know
this
what I don't
could
know.
be true, and you don't know.
I know what I don't know.
Do you?
I think so.
You were telling us about Spotify. You were
Well,
way
I know
wrong
I
on
don't
that.
know about Spotify.
Then why were you telling us with such authority what
Well,
it
I
was?
just don't think it's as popular a few years ago as people think it was,
You thought you were talking about spotlights.
which I was good at. Well, flashlights.
Very good at.
Are you sure you weren't good at fleshlights? Is what you're talking about? You positive? This show is sponsored by Fleshlights. Code Mayo at fleshlights.com. Maybe on the dark web. That's something you put in when you turn the lights off. You go to Fleshlights and use code Cust at fleshlights.com to get a replica Cust. Next game.
all right, I found a Dallas line.
Perfect.
Cowboys at Falcons.
Cowboys at Falcons. Falcons by 2.
Nope.
2.5.
Ding, ding, ding.
Tim is tied with me. 2-2.
Next one up.
It's me.
We got the Chargers at the Browns.
Chargers by 3.5.
Nope.
Browns by 1.
Browns by 1.5.
Well, it's 2, so Pat
I get it.
wins.
Browns by
Browns?
2?
Yeah, they had
No,
Jameis
sorry,
now.
sorry. It's Chargers
Oh,
by 2.
Chargers by
Oh,
2.
it's me
My
then.
bad.
So Tim gets
Say,
it.
what world is the
Love
Browns?
the Browns. Love the
What
Browns
world
in
are the
that
Browns
game.
ever favored in that
Yeah.
game? They're 2-6.
It's at the Browns.
It doesn't matter. They're 2-6.
But their team is
The
substantially better
Chargers
now.
are not looking great.
Well, they're better without Watson. I grant.
So,
that.
so they're better than the 2-6 team that they are. They just beat the Ravens at home.
Yeah, no, the Chargers have to be the right side there
I mean,
at the moment.
it's a field goal kicking contest. I suppose that's not good for the Browns. They have Hopkins.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
It was so demure.
He's got the black lung paw.
That was very soft.
More or less
The
off than the Bills D.
Please.
Can we just move to the next game, please?
Next game, please.
We got the Raiders at the Bengals.
Raiders at the Bengals. This is me.
Yeah.
I'll say the Bengals by 3.5.
No.
Bengals by 6.5.
Nope.
Bengals by 4.
8.5.
8.5. The Bangs.
Wow.
They are punishing these like West Coast teams coming east. It seems.
Wowzers.
Or they just think they You gave him the hawk.
Next game, please. Move it along.
I don't know. These guys seem like they need a second.
Move it along. That's their problem.
We got the Dolphins at the Bills.
Oh boy.
Oh, God.
Bills by 6.5.
Ding, ding, ding.
Oh yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Don Cherry time. We listened to
I'll
the
take
Don.
the hook with the Bills on that one.
Yeah, I like the Bills here.
Let's lock that in.
Weather doesn't look that bad. I was hoping, I like getting Miami up at the Ralph in, when it's actually freezing. Looks like 10 and potentially rain, but obviously.
Do you like
So
Tua?
When I sort of cared about this schedule, I was very excited to go to the Ralph in early November. Yeah, it's not as bad as it could have been.
Are you gonna go? You're not gonna go?
No, I more meant just the team. There was a chance I was going to go to this game a while ago, but
You can go see Tua. Might be the last ever snap Tua takes. You never know.
every week appointment viewing.
So I get 2 for that one. 5-0-3. Next game with Tim going first.
The Patriots at the Titans in the Sadness Bowl.
Titans by 2.5.
Nope.
We don't know if Drake May is playing, by the way. He is concussed.
Oh God. Patriots by 1.
Nope.
You said 2.5? Titans by 3.
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay.
Patriots are still bad. They beat
Yeah.
a shit Jets team.
I understand
big
it.
deal.
I understand it.
Next game.
We got the Saints at the Panthers.
Jesus. I thought the last game was bad. This could lock it up for me in my bet against Cam.
Sorry, at the Panthers.
Yep.
With probably Bryce Young starting, I'm guessing.
Like it matters.
I would.
I think
so.
it really does matter.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not that they cover spreads either way, but Bryce Young's like
Yeah, they just don't
actively
cover
way
spreads
worse than
regardless.
Andy
Isn't
Dalton.
this the team the Panthers beat?
No, the Saints beat them like 50
well,
to nothing.
Derek,
week
Derek
one.
Carr
Who beat the
could
the,
be
who did
back
the
for
Panthers
this
beat?
game.
The Chargers?
Was it the Chargers?
Who did the Panthers beat?
Oh,
Was it like Atlanta or something?
I was gonna say Atlanta rings a bell, but I don't think that's it. Was that last season?
No,
Was it the Raiders? It was the Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders.
They beat the
Okay.
Raiders.
Oh, Raiders. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And Dalton's first.
Oh yeah,
game,
that was
I
the
think?
first week Dalton played. Right.
Okay.
Again, Carr could play in this game. At least they were talking like that earlier in the week. We'll see. I'm gonna say Saints by 3.
Nope.
Saints by 3.5.
Nope.
Saints by 4. It's got to be higher.
7.
Yeah.
7?
I knew it had to be higher, but there's no
Wow.
point in picking
So maybe
higher.
they think that Derek Carr is going to be back.
I mean,
You know,
he's
Lobby
supposed
came back
to
to
be
back.
back.
Can't lay less than a touchdown into the Panthers right now.
I mean,
the
fuck,
Patriots should lay 7 into the Panthers right now.
Like they are below everyone else by a pretty substantial.
I think so.
I don't think I could lay 7 with Spencer Rattler against even the Panthers.
I think I would be obliged to.
Rattler's pretty.
You don't
good.
have to bet every
he
game.
got
No,
He
but
got
it
pulled.
seems like if you just
He
bet
got
against
pulled.
the Panthers every week, you're doing.
I mean, I made three
Yeah,
three
it's
bets
bold
on the
picks.
best bet show this week. I bet against the Panthers and against the Saints at huge spreads, both big winners.
Yeah.
Next game, Paul.
Commanders at Giants.
Ooh, short week for the Giants as well. And Garion, this is you?
No, it's you.
Oh, it's me. What was the game again?
Commanders at Giants.
Commanders at Giants. Commanders by 4.5.
Nope.
3.5.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ooh, 2 for Tim. Tie game. Garion, you're being shut out.
That's okay.
All right, we got
Just here to
the
laugh.
we got the Bears at the Cardinals.
It's gonna be a 1-point game.
Cardinals by 1.5.
Ding, ding, ding.
Oh boy,
Wow.
cheating Tim doing fantastic.
No, that we're back to the 3-man rotation. I'm
you're,
back
you're
in the sync.
You're back in your groove.
Next up,
Yep.
Jags at Eagles.
Okay.
Go ahead, Gary, it's you.
There's been some big spreads. I'm gonna say Eagles by 7.5.
Nope.
Eagles by 10.
Nope.
I was going to go below Garion. Eagles by, what did you say, Garion?
7.5.
Eagles by 7.
Ding, ding, ding.
Damn.
I would have gone lower, actually, but I was just playing the under on it. I would have said like 6.
Jags can't even beat teams with backup quarterbacks.
Covered, though.
They did cover last second. You won some slushies on that game. Congratulations.
Had a good weekend.
You bet on an kids under 10 basketball game and won.
We did, and I bet on the Irish a few times, and that did well. And bet with Tim with the Jags today. So I actually had a good weekend betting slushies with Tim.
Next game.
Lions at Packers.
Lions by
This line, you don't know who's playing quarterback.
3.5.
Lions by 3. Ding, ding, ding.
There we go.
Yeah, that's got to
Not
be.
every book has that line.
That is
by the way.
definitely a Jordan Love line.
No, that's the Willis line.
That's the
That's
Willis
Lions
line.
by 5.5
No.
against
No,
Willis.
the love line is 1.5.
in division again. No, there's no way.
Not everyone thinks the Packers are as bad as you do.
I just think the
Remember
Lions are just a cut above by a lot.
Lions defense kind of sucks. since
Yeah,
Aiden
but like
Hutchinson went
the
down,
Packers look
particularly.
unimpressive week after week. They're like the Texans.
that. All right, got you by 1 with a few games left.
Okay.
We got the Rams at the Seahawks.
Seahawks by 2.5.
Nope.
Seahawks by 3.
Nope.
Seahawks by 2.
1.5
I
for
guess it.
Seahawks.
Everyone's going to love the Rams in that game.
I like the Rams in that game. The game's in Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's outdoors. I like the Rams because I like Geno on the road. Or I like
Gino outdoors, not
if this
great.
game were in LA, I might take the Seahawks.
I like that logic.
Eh,
Gino's been horrible outside.
Yeah.
Seahawks look pretty horrible.
Indoor
today. I watched
Geno?
every bit of that
Indoor
game.
Geno, good quality. Outdoor Geno, particularly in the pouring rain, not so much.
Next game.
We got the Sunday Night Football. It's a pretty dusty game, to be honest. Colts at Vikings.
They flexed this game in.
What was here?
Oh, wow.
What game was there?
Jets and who?
No, it was one of the 5 o'clock. One of the 5 o'clock games was flexed out.
Carolina, New Orleans.
No. Let me see if I look at the slate on.
All right, go ahead, Garion.
I'll say Vikings by 4.
Nope.
It was Viking. Who are the
Colts at Vikings.
Vikings by 6.
Nope.
6.5.
It's 7.
It was Jags Eagles that was flexed out.
All right, you get this one exactly. You win. You just win it. You tie.
Okay.
Bucks at Chiefs.
And it's me first.
I think so.
Chiefs by 8.
Nope.
7.5.
Nope.
7.
9.
Okay.
Victory!
Congratulations.
I could have gone either way to not get shut out, and I picked the wrong way.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Staging a comeback against
The
you.
Bucks are kind of done now, aren't they?
I don't know. I thought the Bucks showed some good
The
resiliency
division
today.
is in real trouble for Tampa because now they've been swept by the Falcons.
Listen,
They're
win-
down by 2
win your
and they're
games.
swept.
Listen, they have to figure out a way to get their team back together after all of this.
Like-
this is week 1 on a short week, losing your top 2 receivers.
Yes.
And they had a chance to. Listen, they had Hail Mary to win. It worked for Washington. They had a chance to do
Both
that
of
at
their
the end
games
the
against
game.
Tampa this year, or against the Falcons this year, could have easily gone either way, but they lost them both. So Atlanta's certainly very comfortably in the driver's seat for the division.
Right now, absolutely, but it's still a race to 11.
Atlanta
wins.
could absolutely throw this away, but
Yes,
they're
they're in a very comfortable spot. But I wouldn't count the Bucks out.
they're
of
up
this
3
yet.
at the turn,
And the Bucks still get 2 Carolinas and a Saints.
probably. Well, probably. I don't know who they've got left, but yeah, I'm sure they do.
They should have that.
Now
No,
Atlanta will
they-
still have games left against those teams as well. So.
Nah, the Bucks have not played the Panthers yet.
Yeah, I think
So they have 2 against the Panthers. Wait, that can't be right. No, I'm looking at Carolina. I was like, pretty sure that the Bucks have played the. Let's see here, Buccaneers. It all depends on their schedule, and they own the tiebreaker over Detroit if it comes down
Well,
to it.
that would be true, but that would only be relevant in a wild card.
Ooh, they have a tough treading the next 2 weeks potentially.
Yeah, this is a tough game to start with, right?
So they go
Chiefs.
They go Chiefs, Niners next 2 weeks. Then it's Giants, Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, Cowboys, Panthers, Saints. Like they could win out potentially.
Yeah, after the next game.
Because Evan should be back by
'Cause
week.
what are they? 4-4?
They're 4-4. Evan should be back for the Giants game. At worst, they'll be 4-6.
Yeah, no, they still have every opportunity to either win the division or grab a wild card spot.
Yeah.
But Atlanta's certainly in a more. You certainly far would rather be Atlanta right now than
Yes,
than Tampa.
I agree with you. The team with the better record.
And you can't play them again, and they beat you twice. So.
Yes, but if they can win out, they'll still be fine. I think.
Well, yes.
Outside of the next 2
There's
weeks.
basically any NFL team if they were to win
Ooh,
out
If the Jets win out, would they still make the playoffs?
at 11-6, I think they probably would make it. At
Would that
11-6.
get you excited?
No.
No, that wouldn't get you excited.
No, I would just be ready for
we
the other
already
shoe to
said
drop.
that.
If the Jets went on a 9-game winning streak,
No, I wouldn't get excited.
because you think they get blown out in the, they wouldn't even be the 7th seed at that
It
point.
doesn't matter. They would lose to whomever.
Not the Bills, because the Bills always lose in
Great.
the first
And
round,
they'll play
according
the
to you.
play the Bills in the first round, lose by 3 points in
But
a
the
weird
Colts and Broncos would blow out the Bills in the first round.
game. Yeah, the Bills play down to competition in the playoffs. Paul will agree.
I've given up even arguing with Tim at this point. This team's irrelevant.
They are. I agree with. We see it the same
I want
way.
him to talk crap about the Bills, so it's like I don't interject because it's like keep it coming. It's the moment that he starts like being like, oh, they may be pretty good. That's when I'm going to be concerned. I believe in the curse.
Eagles Jags was flexed.
That's what I said that
I
earlier.
wasn't listening to you. I was still thinking about your sneeze.
Fair. All right. Yeah, that was the game. No, I'm not so sure they didn't flex the right game in, but anyway.
What would you have flexed it?
I'm not sure I would have flexed Eagles Jags out. Eagles are a huge market. And
Doug Peterson revenge game?
yeah, like I guess they wanted to give the Vikings a chance to play on Sunday night because they didn't have any games scheduled. So I guess this was a chance to do it. And the Colts get to play on a Sunday night because they're going to get flexed out in a couple of weeks because that Jets-Colts game in a couple of weeks on Sunday Night Football is not going to make it to primetime. I can assure you that.
CeeDee Lamb already has 2 targets on the first drive. This is going exactly how that Travis Kelce under targets worked for me.
If I were
dead in the
Dak,
first half.
I'd be throwing to CD Lamb a lot too.
That's what
against
you do. You need him to throw to Turpin. You were like Turpin.
Yeah, Turpin will
have
get
some
his.
time.
Turpin
Feel
will get
good.
his. He'll get his.
All right. That will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Again, if you sub to the channel and rate and review the podcast while subbing to them, you get in the draw for $500 cash. I want to thank Garion, Tim, Paul, and Jared, and all of you good people. Let's go, George Kittle. Why don't you score the first touchdown, pal? Okay? We'll see you next time.